This meeting to order today, Thursday, 18th of November. And Louise, would you like to do the roll call, please?
Of course. Vice Chair Chisholm.
Present.
Commissioner Golden.
Here.
Commissioner Steiner.
Here.
Commissioner St. James Lopez.
Here.
And Commissioners West and Chair Tosher are currently absent.
Right, fantastic. Thanks everybody for being here. Louise, would you please read the Pledge of Allegiance?
Of course. Go ahead and stand. Right hand over the heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, thank you very much. And just on a side note, which will surprise all of you, today was the day that I was supposed to take my oath to become an American citizen. Unfortunately, I had to delay it, so that's not today. But how strange is that? I'm facing the flag on the day I should have become an American citizen. And I'm looking forward to do that in the next month or so. Right. Thank you very much. Louise, do we have any public comments?
No public comments.
All right. Consent items. Has anybody got any changes? I know that I've noticed a few errors here, but I'll leave it open to Commissioner Golden. Any changes on the
No.
minutes? Commissioner Steiner?
None, thank you.
Commissioner St. James Lopez?
None.
All right, I've just noticed a couple of typos, if you'd like those.
Yes, please.
So in A, fourth line down, it says follow, it should say fellow commissioner. It should also be commissioners. Same row, about three words down, it says question, should be questions. The next page on E, Commissioner Steiner, note, there was no update, noted.
Noted. Okay.
F, last line, applications, was against application. And on the last page, number 7, Commissioner comments, the very last line. Vice Chair, I can't step in as the Vice Chair because I already am. So Vice needs to be struck. Okay, that's it for that.
Thank you. Received.
All right. Right, so discussions and action items. Let's get straight into it, shall we? This is the grants, this is why we're here tonight, and this is pretty much what we're going to be doing. It's usually non-controversial, and I always enjoy grant night because we get to make some people very happy. Probably not as happy as they all want to be, but nonetheless, that's the way that is. In front of me, I have the numbers for Commissioner Tosher, myself, Commissioner Golden, and Commissioner West. And so one by one, I would like to go through and just add your numbers to each one of these, if you don't mind. And we'll start on focus on the masters. And once I've got all the numbers in, I'll tell you what everybody else's numbers are, and then we can figure it out from there once we've got all the numbers in. The total amount that we can grant today is $25,000. So, Commissioner Steiner.
Nigel, before we begin, may I clarify, we have 7 grant applications, is that correct?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is correct. Ruth Pastine and Ray Powers withdrew their applications,
Both
so there are 7.
Correct, so we have 7. Now, I understood that the number was 49 something. How was it? Am I incorrect there?
I believe it's 25. Let's just ask Louise. I don't know where you would have got 49 from. Louise, can you confirm that it's $25,000?
That is correct. The arts grant budget is $25,000. I believe what Commissioner Steiner is referring to is the ask from the applicants. The current ask from the applicants is $44,095 with a budget of $25,000 to allocate.
Okay. Does that make sense to you, Commissioner Steiner? Commissioner Steiner, yep, okay.
Yes, very good, thank you.
Do you need a few moments to rejig your figures?
No, I'm good.
Would you like a few moments to rejig your figures, Commissioner Steiner?
No, I'm good,
No?
thank you.
Okay, so we'll start with you. If you could please give me your number for focus on the masters.
Oh, why don't I go last?
There's only 2 people I've got to ask, and you're both on the television screen. So I was going to ask you first, this one, then the next one I was going to ask Eric.
I would give Focus on the Masters the full amount it requests.
which is
I think they did
$5,420.
Excellent work.
Okay, $5,420. Commissioner St. James Lopez,
I was going to give him $3,000.
$3,000.
Eric, could you speak up a little louder, please?
Sorry, $3,000.
$3,000. Thank you very much. So Eric, you're up next. Performance to grow on. The total ask was $4,325.
I was going to say the full amount.
$4,325. Commissioner Steiner, performance to grow on.
Performance to grow on, I think $2,000.
$2,000.
No, pardon me, yes, $2,000.
Thank you very much. And we'll stay with you for the next one. Ojai Community Chorus. The ask was $5,000.
I would say $2,500.
$2,500. Thank you very much. Commissioner St. James Lopez.
Yeah, it's actually going to say the same amount.
Eric, I can't hear you, mate.
The same amount.
$2,500. Thank you. So Eric, we'll stay with you for the basic premise, the Ojai Jail Arts Initiative. The ask was $15,800.
Right. I said $8,000.
$8,000. Commissioner Steiner.
I'd like to award them $10,000. I think it's a very exciting project. I think it's
Okay, we'll come to comments in a minute. I just want to get the
okay.
numbers right now.
Got it.
We'll stay with you for Ojai Performing Arts Theatre, please.
I think I'm running out of poker chips here, aren't I?
You are. Luis, could you keep tabs on these numbers while I'm doing others at 10?
Yeah. Luis, do you have a sense of where I am?
$19,920.
Yep.
Oh, great. Okay. Performing art, Ojai Performing Arts, I would say 1,000.
1,000. Commissioner St. James Lopez for Ojai Performing Arts. Do you need a recap of where you are?
No, the full amount.
Full amount, $3,500. Okay, let's just do a quick tally up there. 8,000, 11,500, 12,000, 14, 18, 21, 20. You're at 21,325.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I actually want to make an amendment to the Ojai Community Chorus.
Yeah.
I feel bad saying this because I thought we were talking about one of the other O's. I don't want to provide any grant money for the Ojai Community Chorus.
No problem. That is absolutely your right. And
So Eric is zero now for that amount?
zero.
I'm so sorry.
No problem at all. So Luis, you're around about 18.5, 18.8 or something like that now. Right, Commissioner Steiner for Ojai Youth Entertainment Studio, or is that correct? Oh yes.
The
The ask was $5,000.
Entertainer Studio.
Ojai Youth.
Luis, I have what left?
You're at 20,920 right now.
Oh, okay. Then I would say 1,000.
1,000. 21,920. Commissioner St. James Lopez.
All right, sorry. So given my amendment, where am I at?
Luis, can you give a quick tally up of that?
$18,825.
Okay, that's what I have too.
Okay, great. Thank
sorry.
you. And we are at OPAT or OES. I'm so sorry.
We're waiting. So, Ojai Youth Entertainment Studio.
Yes. Okay. I'm gonna grant them $3,400.
$3,400.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
$3,400. Okay, and Eric will stay with you for Ojai Day Mandala.
Well, I'd like to say $3,400 as well, but I want to make sure that I'm reaching 25,000. 25,000, I mean.
What's remaining, Luis? I should have bought a calculator, I'm sorry, folks.
It's okay. $2,775 is what's remaining.
$2,775.
I'm good with that for River.
I remember the days, my math teacher would shoot me right now for not being able to do this in my head quickly. Commissioner Steiner
Right.
for River Savageau, Ojai Day Mandala, the ask was $5,000.
Whatever balance of my chips I have left, Louise?
It's going to be $3,500, is that correct?
I have 3,080.
3,080. Oh, that's right. I can't read my writing.
Very good. Yes.
3,080. Right. Do you all have one of those sheets in front of you, you guys? I know, the ones that Louise sent,
Yes, sir.
where we can fill in the amounts? Or if you're not, have you got some scratch paper in front of you so you can write all this down?
I don't think I received that, but
It
perhaps
was
I
on
did
the
and I overlooked
it was on the
it.
same email as the agenda, Commissioner Steiner. There was two there.
I overlooked it then. I will pull it up right now.
Honestly, I missed it as well, to be honest with you, until a couple of days ago. You just need a bit of paper as well. So I'm
Okay.
just going to reveal everybody's numbers now, so we're all in the clear. I can see Commissioner Golden's got her sheet with her, so here we go. Focus on the masters. Chair Tosha wanted to give $4,170. Myself was $4,000. Commissioner St. James Lopez was $3,000. Commissioner Steiner was $5,420. Commissioner Golden was $4,250. And Commissioner West was $5,000. Now I'm going to go through the rest of them also so that we can see where the differences are that make sense. So you need to be writing these down, so because there's some significant differences in some and there's not significant differences on other ones. Performance to grow on. Chair Tosha was $3,970. Myself was $4,000. Commissioner St. James Lopez was $4,325. Commissioner Steiner was $2,000. Commissioner Golden was $4,250. Commissioner West was $2,500. Ojai Community Chorus. Chair Tosha was $3,000. Myself was $2,500. Commissioner St. James Lopez was $0. Commissioner Steiner was $2,500. Commissioner Golden was $3,250. Commissioner West was $5,000. The basic premise. Chair Tosha was $3,500. Myself was also $3,500. Commissioner St. James Lopez was $8,000. Commissioner Steiner was $10,000. Commissioner Golden was $2,250. And Commissioner West was $3,000. Ojai Performing Arts. Chair Tosha was $2,500. Myself was $1,000. Commissioner St. James Lopez was $3,500. Commissioner Steiner was $1,000. Commissioner Golden was $3,250. And Commissioner West was $2,000. Oh yes, Commissioner Tosha was $4,860. Myself was $5,000. Commissioner St. James Lopez was $3,400. Commissioner Steiner was $1,000. Commissioner Golden was $4,250. Commissioner West was $5,000. And for the Ojai Day Mandala, Chair Tosha was $3,000. I was $5,000. Commissioner St. James Lopez was $2,775. Commissioner Steiner was $3,080. Commissioner Golden was $3,500. And Commissioner West was $2,500. Now let me just give you the asks in case you don't have them in front of you. The ask for focus on the masters was $5,420. For performance to grow on was $4,325. For Ojai Community Chorus, the ask was $5,000. For the basic premise, the ask was $15,800, I believe.
$850.
Ojai Performing Arts Theatre, the ask was $3,500. For Oh Yes, the ask was $5,000. And for the Ojai Day Mandala, the ask was $5,000. Okay, now, there's a couple of things here. If you don't mind, I'll kick this off. We have got some significant differences, but nothing that we're not going to work through in the next short period of time. I want to start, if we can, with Ojai Community Chorus. Not because Commissioner St. James Lopez gave a zero figure there, but for something very different. And I could end up quite easily at that zero figure as well. But I've got a question, Luis. Did we get an updated accounting from Ojai Community Chorus?
We did not know.
Okay, so we don't know what's gone on. The latest accounting I believe we have from then is 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So in 2021, last year, Ojai Community Chorus was awarded, I believe, 80% of their ask, which is $2,422.80. I think you actually have, as part of your package, you have previous grant recipients. And in 2021, if you go down to number 3, you'll see Ojai Community Chorus there. They got 81.4% of their original ask, which was $3,000. Now, the accounting that we have for them only goes up to 2019, I believe. It may be 2019, 2020, but it certainly doesn't cover last year. And it does not include the grant. They didn't do anything last year. And I'm not suggesting anything nefarious. I'm just saying that the money that we gave them last year, to my knowledge, and we did ask for them to provide information on this.
That is correct. I would like to go ahead and make a note that grant recipients have until December 31st, 2021 to go ahead and submit any summary reports.
Right, but we did ask them,
Yep.
is it not to provide us with a report of what
That is correct.
they've done with
yes.
that money, and they didn't do that. Is that
That-
correct, Commissioner Golden?
But the time is not up yet for them to do it. It ends at the end of this year.
I
So they
understand.
could still be doing it.
I understand that, but they were asked specifically to provide us with an accounting of what they did last year. Is that correct,
We're-
Luis?
Not an accounting of
No.
what they did last year. No, a grant summary report is what was required. What was
So what was Chair Tosher talking about then?
She was asking for a grant summary report. Grant summary report is a report that they put together after their performance.
Okay.
That's what she inquired
okay, so
about.
in that case, we know what's happened already because they haven't done any performances in 2021. That's accurate according to their application themselves. Would you all agree with that? Have you read the application?
Well,
Commissioner Golden?
if that's the case, then that money that they were awarded needs to be returned, correct, Luis?
Correct. They have to go ahead and do the performance within 2021, so they still have
They,
time.
so they could still do
yeah,
it next month. Or,
that is correct,
Okay,
yes. So they have- yeah,
thank you for
as-
clarifying
yep.
that. I appreciate it.
But according to their application, they're not going to be doing anything. Their own application says that they've abandoned all hope this year, which I absolutely understand and have a massive amount of sympathy for. So their own application says they're not going to do it. And so I just want to explain how I came to my figure on that, which was $2,500, $2,580 as a matter of fact. I took what their ask was this year and deducted what they got last year from it, and that's where I got my figure from. However, if they have to return the funds, then that may change things also.
And
Commissioner Golden?
Those funds are gone. They don't come back to us.
Right, so they're gone for good.
They're gone for good.
Right, so
Yeah, just-
thanks for that. And so I'll just open the floor to anybody else for comments on Ojai Community Chorus, and let's try and knock this one out first so we can move forward and know if we have some funds available to move elsewhere first. Commissioner Steiner, perhaps I'd like to call on you first, and you offered $2,500 for their ask of $5,000?
I'm comfortable remaining there.
Okay. Commissioner Golden?
I'm torn on this one because they really don't have a lot of financial support, and it's, you know, because of COVID that they didn't do the performance that they asked for the grant to do. I think we should give them at least something in good faith, but I also think that before that is awarded, that we need to be sure that the check from last year is returned. I think if we did give them something, it has to be contingent on that.
Yep, I would agree
You know,
with
that they understand that. I'm not sure that they understand they have to return the money, Luis?
That is correct. We would go ahead and make contact and
They do understand.
and advise them. We would go ahead and be in contact. All grant applicants go through the same process. And right after this meeting, I would be in contact with them, advising.
Because it's a little bit of a sticky wicket with them not having spent the money.
Yeah, I absolutely thank you for that. I absolutely understand that they're one of the more underfunded organisations in our town, and I do really appreciate what they do. Over to you, Commissioner St. James Lopez. Your thoughts on this one?
Well, you know, I just feel like, can you guys hear me okay?
If you go a bit close to your microphone, we can.
I'll be closer. I don't know. I think I have nothing against the Ojai Community Chorus. I just feel like in comparison, when I'm looking at the many other amazing groups that we're looking at, I see them having 34 years of experience. And I also see that besides, I do think that it was quite a blow, you know, this last year that they had, and I'm very sorry for them for that. But
I'm sorry, Eric. I can't hear anything that you're saying. Can you turn up your mic, perhaps?
I don't know how to turn up my mic. My volume's all the way up, so I
Chat.
can hear you guys really well.
Can we raise his volume in here? Just give us a moment, Commissioner St. James Lopez. You are a little low. With regard to volume, you're perfectly situated on your screen. Your eyes are 3/4 of the way up the screen. Fabulous.
Yeah.
Exactly where you're supposed to be then. Okay, Luis is just checking that. Understanding, well, we'll let you finish. We'll let Luis do his thing, and then we'll come back around. Commissioner Steiner, I'm going to call on you after Commissioner St. James Lopez, just to round out your thoughts.
I am seeing on our end that Commissioner St. James Lopez, his volume is all the way up.
Okay.
I think we just, if you can, Commissioner St. James Lopez, just speak up a little bit louder.
All right, I'll speak up like this then. Can you hear me okay now?
I can hear you.
It's better. Thank
I
you.
feel like I'm yelling a little bit, but I'm just feeling, and I hate to bring negativity. I don't want it to come across that way, and I really respect the work that they do. I just feel like I don't know, I guess I feel not as inspired by their mission as I am by the other groups that I'm seeing. And maybe that's just because I don't have a personal attachment to choruses. But I guess in their mission and what they're doing, I couldn't find anything that really made me want to help provide grants for them.
Okay.
Anyway, I am definitely, if we want to, I'm not saying that we should give them zero. I'm definitely very open-minded to whatever amount we want to give them. And I can definitely have my mind changed. I just didn't find myself feeling very inspired.
Okay, I understand. Thanks very much for that. And I do want to point out at this moment that I'm not a believer in everybody getting a percentage of what they ask for. I do believe some things in certain years may deserve more than others, and that would leave some people not receiving anything. And then they just have another go next year and see if we can give a grant there. I think that we should look at these things entirely on their merits and how we feel they impact the community. as well as how much they resonate with ourselves. So Commissioner St. James Lopez, don't feel bad about it. This is what you feel, this is what you think, and that's absolutely valid. So don't worry. Right, Commissioner Steiner, having listened to everybody else, any more thoughts? Are you still okay at 25?
No, I weighed in. I'm supportive of community choruses, and I think half of their ask is comfortable for me.
Right. Okay. So I'll just declare where I'm at here. I'm absolutely comfortable with, strange enough, that same number with 25. Mine is 2580. So, seeing as Chair Tosha and Commissioner West are not here to kick in, okay, I'll get to you in just a second. Then we will be voting on their behalf for whatever we decide in this room. Commissioner Golden.
Yes, well, while we were waiting for Eric to get hooked up louder, I did an average, just for the heck of it, of what we all gave. And the average that we all gave, if we add it all up, it comes up to 2708. So I don't know if that's a way to go, is to kind of work around with that number, an average of what everybody
Right, so
had divvied up. It's very
we
close to half.
yeah, we can certainly look at that. The way I think I'm tending to look at this, and I'm open to everybody else's thoughts too, is that there's 4 of us in the room here. 2 of us are on the 2500 number, you're on the 3250 number. If we came up 2.5 and Commissioner Golden, you went down by 5, then that would bring us to that 2750 number. And if Commissioner St. James Lopez, you could understand that we're going to end up voting on this.
No, this is a good number.
So whether you like it or whether you don't, you're probably going to end up giving on this, as we'd discussed previously. So I would like to move then, all being equal, that that we go with, let's just go 2700, just because I like that $50 hanging around that we may be able to afford somewhere else. So I am going to move that we give Ojai Community Chorus $2,700. Would somebody like to second that? Oh.
And
I'll second it, and then I have a comment to make. Is that okay?
Just one moment. Commissioner Steiner, do you have a comment?
it was simply, could we make that a preliminary, that we preliminarily award that, and then
Absolutely.
we can do adjustments at the end, rather than moving the certainty of this number.
Yeah, I think that's actually probably a really valid observation, actually. So
I think
let's
it may
put
work
that down
better for us.
as a number to come back to, and when we've got through the conversation, we can divvy everything up. Yep. Thanks, Commissioner Steiner. Commissioner Golden.
Right. So in that same vein as what Christine just said, I'm going to withdraw my second. And what I wanted to say was that in the past, we have only voted on the whole package because just what Christine Steiner said, we've maneuvered as time.
Yep. Okay. I think that's absolutely valid, and I appreciate that input. Thanks very much. Okay. So the next one, I would like. Now I know that I'm jumping around a little bit here, but there's reasons for it in my mind. The next one I'd like to have a look at. And thank you for that previous conversation. I appreciate it. Very nice. Is Ojai Performing Arts Theatre. Their ask was $3,500. Chair Tosha was prepared to go with $2,500. I was at $1,000. Commissioner St. James Lopez was at $3,500. Commissioner Steiner, we're mirroring each other here. It was at $1,000. Commissioner Golden was $3,250. And Commissioner West was 2,000. So do we have any observations on that? I'll call on Commissioner Golden first.
Well, once again, I did an average. And the average here is 4,416, which is more than what they asked for. So
you've got an extra number in there somewhere.
I would sure suggest that if we're kind of fooling around with averages, that in this case, we drop it and
so your average can't be that. Your average is wrong.
Yeah, it's just a thought.
Your average is wrong. All right. So I actually do have a calculator. I was just trying to avoid my phone, given that they apparently now are game for the public to have a look at.
I don't think I did the math right on that one, tell you the truth.
Calculator. Right. So we'll just get the average out just for the sake of it, although I'm not a fan of this type of thing generally, but let's just get that number out of there. So we'll have a look at it on no, well, we know that. Plus divided by 6 equals. No, no. Lewis is probably the best one at doing this, to be honest with you.
I wouldn't say so. My average, if it's of interest, I got $2,791. $791.
No, I don't know what's going on with my calculator, so I'm just going to leave you to do the math. What'd you say, 2,000 what?
$2,791.
Okay. All right, so how do we feel about this, Commissioner Golden?
Well, I would initially see what happens if we gave them 2,500.
Okay. Commissioner Steiner?
The matrix through which I look at this is both need and merit. And certainly they've had a hard year. Merit, I think, speaks for itself, but it doesn't seem to have the same sort of need that certain other organizations have. And so I think my number was relatively low. I believe it was 1,000, and I remain comfortable with that.
Okay. Commissioner St. James Lopez?
Yeah, I'm definitely okay with lowering it to the amount that we're discussing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where I come from, and this is actually exactly the same place as Commissioner Steiner, is I look at those two rubrics myself, and I come down in exactly the same place. And if I was looking across the board at this, I have to declare and say I would have been comfortable, despite the fact that I know everybody on that board. I've acted for OPAT, and I have a great deal of respect for everybody involved in that organisation. But that's the one where I would have actually come down with 0. But given the fact that 2 dropped out, then I felt comfortable giving them something if we could. So I actually am also comfortable at $1,000 simply because I really feel strongly that there are other places that need the funds this year more. I mean, we've just talked about one, haven't we? Ojai Community Chorus. And there are other areas here, other applicants that I think not just need the money more, but they may be a little bit more deserving this year in order to keep their programs moving forwards. So that's where I'm at on that. I also look at how they impact the community. And I got to tell you, when on the stage in Macbeth, which is an OPAT production, and the house is full every time I walk on the stage, and we do a brilliant show, then I'm thinking I'm impacting the whole world. The truth of the matter is I'm just impacting the people who are in the audience. And at that moment, that is the whole world, and that's wonderful. But when I look at some of the other things that are looking to help children in this community, and we're talking about early impact, then I value that quite strongly, and I hold that important to myself. So, all that being said, we'll move back to Commissioner Golden and see what you have to say.
I think it's fine to drop it down. 1,000 to me. This is one where I'd almost leave it to the end and see like what's left.
Yeah, Commissioner Steiner, I presume you're still good at 1,000.
I am, thank you.
Commissioner St. James Lopez, do you want to kick out a number there?
You know, I think I'm really listening to you, and I agree. I think 1,000, or looking back at it afterwards.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put 1,000 there. You know, I would note that Commissioner West was at 2,000. Commissioner Tosha was at 2,500. So they're not super high figures. You know, Commissioner Golden, you're the one that came in closest to that, and I understand that. I absolutely do. So let's just table that one for a moment. But in my little notepad here, I'm just going to make a little note of where we're at. Okay, so let's go to the Ojai Dam Mandala. And again, I know that we're moving around a little bit here. As we know, this is the 30th year anniversary of the Ojai Dam Mandala. For those of us who have been in town a very long time, and believe it or not, I have been, then this is something that I took my children to. My children participated in My friends' children participated in grown-ups. I even participated myself when I ran out of the gesture or the vine to go and colour in a little bit. And it really is a magnificent effort, and it doesn't just happen on one day. There is a massive amount of work that goes in from multiple people. River's name is on this, but there's multiple people who spend a lot of time on this. And this application in particular, they want to expand the scope of what they do to include the schools in it this year as well. So that being said, Commissioner St. James Lopez, you're up first this time. Now, you had $2,775. The ask was $5,000. How do you feel about this? Oh, and I'd just say, just as a side note, that nobody involved in the Mandala has ever gotten a red cent for doing this. They've all done it. And one of the reasons they were asking for a little bit more this year was not just because of going into the schools, but they thought it might be nice to be able to pay themselves a little bit of money for the massive amount of work that they do. So that being said, over to you, Commissioner St. James Lopez.
Right. I think I basically stick to what I've done. I love the mandalas, and I think they're beautiful. I don't think I have anything else to say about the amount that I gave, other than I'm a fan.
All right. Commissioner Steiner?
The amount I suggested was $3,080, and that was only because I had run out of money in my wish list. I would have otherwise recommended the entire $5,000 because I think the mandala is so emblematic of Ojai, and the fact that its 30th year deserves recognition.
Okay, understood. Thank you very much. Commissioner Golden?
Well, I mean, I agree with everything that everybody has said here, and it would be great if we can give them the full amount. I would certainly give them the full amount, but given that they're not the only applicants, I would say the average being $3,300, that $3,500 would be a good amount.
Thank you very much. Right, I'm going to disagree with that on this one, simply because I don't want to get stuck in the average thing. And for myself, I'm going to advocate for the full amount on this one. I do believe that 30 years is a long time to be doing something and not getting paid for it. Now, we understand that most of people involved in the arts don't get paid for it anyway. We know this. But over the years, they didn't get any funding last year from the city, and they had to buy all of the materials themselves. They had to recruit pretty much everything they had to do themselves, so they're out of pocket from last year for doing it. And you've seen that. It's not a small amount of materials right, to organize it. So I'm going to stand here and advocate that we make adjustments elsewhere, and we look to be able to give them the full $5,000. 30 years, they deserve it. These people involved, they deserve it. They're not only going to use this money for the mandala, they're going into schools throughout the course of the year, 4 times, I believe, to encourage the kids to help design the mandalas. And they had it in Libby Park last year, and there were multiple mandalas, not just one. And then those kids will be intimately involved in the painting and the construction of the mandala this year. And again, it's going into the schools and educating the kids. And I think $5,000 is a very, very reasonable ask. And if we're looking about how we can impact the community on a very large scale, the mandala typically was washed away at the end of Ojai Day, which I always really hated. But now it's not. It stays there until it's gone. So the entire community and people who visit Ojai are here to enjoy that for weeks and weeks and weeks to go. So I'm going to advocate for $5,000 for them. We'll go back around again. Commissioner St. James Lopez.
You made a very compelling argument, and I'm going to go with $5,000 as well.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Steiner.
Agree.
Okay. Commissioner Golden.
Sure.
Well, look at that. So we'll put that down in the column, Luis, as just a probable amount. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so let's just go back to the start of it now, which is focus on the masters. And again, we'll vote on like we've done previously. We'll just vote on the whole slate at the end, I guess, right? So that makes a bit of sense. Focus on the Masters, I'm sure you're all familiar with this. They also are going into the schools this year. Who doesn't want to help that? Commissioner Tosha, the ask was $54.20. Chair Tosha was $41.70. I was 4. Commissioner St. James Lopez was $3,000. Commissioner Steiner was $5,420, the full Monty. Commissioner Golden was $4,250, and Commissioner West was $5,000. There doesn't look to be an awful lot of issue here, but given that we've possibly saved a little bit of money on the Ojai Community Chorus, and perhaps OPAT, and given some away to the Ojai Mandala, there may be room for a little bit of movement here. So, Commissioner Golden, over to you.
Well, I guess I would, I will just say that when I did numbers, the ones that I gave the most money to, the 4,250, were all projects that involve students in schools. And I just felt that those projects were so important and so vital. So whatever you all decide is fine with me.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Steiner?
I think it's an excellent program. It certainly is a labor of love. It's educational, it's informative, it's legacy building for artists. As you noted, I supported the full amount and I continue to do so.
Thanks very much. Commissioner St. James Lopez?
So this is one of those that I really was passionate about, and I really love it. And I'm definitely open to increasing the amount that I suggested. So anything that I suggested or higher, I think it's a really great resource for the community.
Right. So where I'm at with this one, we've got 2 people who are advocating nearly the most. Nearly the total of it. There's 2 of us who are in the 3s range. Actually, there's 1 person in the 3s, and then 3 of us are in the 4 ranges. So this is one that I actually wouldn't mind just taking an average of everybody and calling that one pretty good, unless anybody's got any other comments. That average is $4,300. Now, that is quite a ways away, Commissioner Steiner, from your $5,400. It's not too far away from Commissioner West's $5,000. So, Commissioner Steiner, how do you feel about that? And after that, Commissioner St. James Lopez, how do you feel about going up by 30%?
Nigel, just so I'm clear, is it 4,300 or is it 4,003?
$4,300.
Let's round it to 4.
This is for Focus on the Masters?
Correct.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, dude, I missed your question.
I would be comfortable at 4,000. If I understood you correctly, your averaging was $4,003. Is that correct?
No, $4,300.
Oh, that was my question. Good. I support the full 4,300. Yes.
Okay, and you're okay giving up the other funding?
I'm okay going down a bit.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner St. James Lopez?
Yeah, I like that amount.
Okay. You understand that that's 30% over your original give?
No, I do. Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Golden?
Super.
Fabulous. Look at us. Okay, so we'll assign tentatively $4,300, Luis, to performances to grow. Focus on the Masters. Okay, Commissioner Golden?
If you're interested, there is $12,000 left on the table.
Okay. Thanks. I think we can go through this and then we can trim and add as we go through. Right, so performance to grow on. The ask was $4,325. Commissioner Tosha was at $3,970. I was at $4,000. Commissioner St. James Lopez was at $4,325. Commissioner Steiner was at $2,000. Commissioner Golden was at $4,250. And Commissioner West was at $2,500. So we'll start off with Commissioner St. James Lopez.
I really like the hearing about this possibility. I just think that it seemed really creative and different, and that's why I wanted to give the amount that I said. I do think it's a lot, and so I'm definitely open to lowering it a little bit. Besides that, that's I think all I have to say.
Commissioner Golden?
I would go with 3,500.
3,500. Okay, so that you dropped that by $750. Okay, Commissioner Steiner.
I do believe I'm comfortable where I am. It certainly is an important objective, and again, looking at the need merit matrix, I'm comfortable at my original amount.
Thanks. All right, so I'm busy adding these up. For whatever reason, my phone is not adding them up very well at all.
So I have the.
What's the average there?
The average is 3,500.
Average is 3,500. Right, so if we go with 3,500, just for the sake of the conversation, Chair Tosha would be coming down. I would be coming down. Commissioner St. James Lopez would be coming down. Commissioner Steiner would be coming down. Commissioner Steiner would be going up, I apologize, by about 40%. Commissioner Golden would be coming down by about 25%, and Commissioner West would go up. So I think this one's worth chatting about a little bit. So you said the average was 3,500. Okay. Yeah. Okay, Commissioner Golden.
Well, my chat is that, once again, this is one of the grants that directly serves kids. And I think, as was so eloquently expressed when we listened to the grant presentations, that how fabulous it is that people are coming forward with grants that enrich kids. And Catch 'em Young, I believe, was one of the things that we said last month. And so I don't think we can give them the $4,325 they asked for, because we have other grantees that are also worthy. But I would hate to go lower than 3,500 myself.
Okay. Commissioner St. James Lopez?
Yeah, I completely agree with Christine.
Okay. Commissioner Steiner, anything to add?
The only thing to add is that there's earned income potential here. So there's the potential for ticket sales. There's the potential for other sort of donations as they're out in the world, but clearly they bring in money. That is one of the only reasons, not merit-based, because I think they are meritorious, but it's the reason I had my number lower, but I'm certainly comfortable going up and joining the majority here.
So thank you for that. So what I would say about this is the Storytelling Festival, of which Brian has been organising for a long time, and it just wrapped up at the end of last month, the 28th or so, I've found to be an enormously important part of this community over the years. It hits a lot of different parts of the community, and you see families out there at all of the events, except, of course, Naughty Tales on the Saturday night. But you see moms and dads picking their kids up from school and taking them to go and see the Storytelling Festival. And it's something that doesn't exist in another guise in this town. It's in its own lane. And this is part of that genre that Brian has built over the years. And it was gone for a few years, and we missed it. I got goosebumps while I'm talking about it, because I've really not thought about it this deeply as I speak. And it was really sad that it was gone. And one of the reasons it was gone, because I had this conversation with Brian about it, was it was just too much work. It was way too much work for him to handle, and he wasn't getting enough help. So the way I look at this one is that he's able to bring in somebody extraordinary to do extraordinary things. And that may, over the course of the year, encourage other people to help him and Cara drive forward with this process. And I've found the storytelling, when I've gone to observe this stuff and I've seen the looks on the kids' faces, and I've actually found my own jaw dropped because I'm so relaxed and involved in the storytelling process that I'd forgotten what storytelling was. And it was just very, very important for me to express that this is more than just a bit of money. This is something that ripples throughout the community as well. So I do understand that it would be difficult to give them everything they ask. And of course, we want to give everybody everything they ask for. We just can't. I feel that $2,000 is not enough. I do understand the income potential that they have, but it's only potential. And everybody's hurting a little bit later. So what I would say for myself, because everybody's kicked out a figure, I like the figure where I'm at. I'm happy to come down a little bit if we need to. My figure was $4,000, but I would suggest, as Commissioner Golden said, that I wouldn't like to award any less than $3,500. And if anybody feels fit to come up to $4,000 and meeting me there, I'll be welcoming me with a handshake and a bottle of wine. Commissioner St. James Lopez.
I don't know. I don't know. This one's hard for me.
Well, you had suggested 4,300, so you're in the enviable position of actually giving back a little bit of money or advocating to stay exactly where you are. You're not in a position whereby you've got to give up on something else in order to get what you would like here.
Yeah, I mean, I think $4,000 is a good amount. I'm definitely open-minded and can change that.
Okay.
I'm not. I really, really like them. I'll say 4,000.
Okay. You don't have to agree with me, but I appreciate that. Commissioner Steiner?
I'm comfortable at the 3,500. That was the average.
Okay. Commissioner Golden?
Yes, I like that, and I'm also looking with an eye to the whole chart, and if we do that, that gives us $8,500 left for the remaining 2 grants.
Okay. All right, so should we go with 3,500?
I like that.
All right. Okay. All right. So we'll just tag in 3,500 there, and we'll see where we're at in a little while. We can always come back and adjust these as we move through the process. I'm an American nearly now, so I have to say process. My apologies, everybody. Okay. So let's have a look at Oh Yes. The ask was $5,000. Commissioner Tosho was very close at $4,860. I was at the full 5. Commissioner St. James Lopez was at 34. Commissioner Steiner was at $1,000. Commissioner Golden was at $4,250. And Commissioner West was at $5,000. Now, I'll let you all speak, but I would say here that out of everybody, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 people were over 4, and 3 out of the 6 of us were very close to awarding all of the requested grants. So, Commissioner Golden, let's start with you at the moment.
Well, and what would you like from me?
Whatever you would like to say, and if you've got nothing to say, say it. Say that. Luis, have you got an averager?
Well, oh yes, that was another one that is directly working with kids. And so I gave more to that grant as well for that reason. But I'm happy to come down. The average is close to 4,000 on that one. So I'm happy to adjust for the good of the company.
Okay.
Yeah. So average that I got is 3,918, round number, 3,900. Yeah.
Okay. 3,900. Okay. Commissioner Steiner?
Yes, so I suggested a low number, not because I thought it was an undeserving organization. It seems very deserving to me. But as I said, with respect to performances to grow on, there's potential for earned income, ticket sales, and other income generators. And so for that reason, I bumped it down a bit, and I'd certainly be willing to bump it up a bit.
Thanks very much. Commissioner St. James Lopez?
Yeah, I think that the average that Luis just gave, I agree with. I think, something a little bit less than $4,000, I think would be appropriate.
Okay. Right. So at this point, I want to declare that I know on a personal level and a close personal level, everybody involved in OES. The reason that I awarded the full amount was not because of those relationships that I have. Was simply because I know very well the work that they do and how many children they impact in this valley and how hard the people involved in OES work, how committed they are, and how good they are at transmitting their passion to everybody that comes into their care, and moving the children into the appropriate environment in order that they can succeed and have the opportunity to succeed, and not having the same children always take the starring roles in what they do, for example. So they do an incredible job at not only putting on performances, multiple performances because they have multiple age groups, but they give children the opportunity to take starring roles where typically in other organizations they may not have that opportunity for whatever reason, but they do that. So I just want to be clear about why I wanted to award the entire amount. I think they're incredibly deserving, and over the past couple of years with COVID, I just know personally that they've been devastated. To Commissioner Steiner's point, they give scholarships out. There is a process, a formal process involved that people have to go through, and they do examine people's finances before they give out scholarships, so they're very careful with their money. I do know that they didn't give out more than a couple of scholarships last year, I don't think. So specifically to your point, I do know that a lot of people in that organization do pay the money to help them get through. So, and they do have ticket sales. I've been to their performances myself. And everybody pays to get in. It's not a crazy amount, but it does help them get through. So I'm certainly willing to come down from my figure, but I have explained it, and I do understand why we may need to come off the figure that I suggested. Again, income is always potential until we get there. So with that, Commissioner Golden, have you got anything else to add?
No, I think that if we do a little adjusting here, and we gave 4,000 to OES, and we dropped some of the change off of Ojai Community Chorus, that's 700, and focus on the masters, that 300. That would leave us $5,000 for the Ojai Jail Initiative project, which is real close to the average of that. So that would be my recommendation. I mean, I like looking at the whole thing. Maybe that's just because in the past years that we always looked at it that way. So I'm kind of like stuck.
Sure.
And maybe that's not a valid way to do it, but it makes sense to me.
Your suggestion or your observation is if we went to 4,000 with focus on the masters?
3,500 with performances to grow on, 2,500 for Ojai Community Chorus, so just drop it a little, 1,000 for OPAT, 4,000 for OES, 5,000 for the Mandala. That leaves 5,000. If I'm doing the math right, it leaves 5,000 for the jail initiative, which is the average of everyone's on that was about $5,041.
Your math is correct.
Yeah. So just a
All
thought.
right, so that's just something for us all to ponder on. Commissioner Steiner, your thoughts?
I don't think we're yet looking at the basic premise issue. I think we're still on OES, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Just so we're clear, I don't like the idea of the last awardee getting whatever remains on the cutting room floor. So I would like us to address that on both merit and need. But with respect to OES, do I understand, Nigel, that your suggestion is 4,000?
I actually didn't make a suggestion. I maybe proved wrong on on the video later on. The suggestion was 4,000, I think, from Commissioner Golden. Is that correct? I don't know. I haven't taken a position on it yet. I want to hear what everybody else said.
Got it. Well, then I'd be fine at 3,500 or 4,000.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner St. James Lopez?
Actually, I completely agree with what I think 3,500 or 4,000 kind of range, and I like.
Okay. All right. So let's just move to OPAT then, because this is, and I'm absolutely in alignment with you, Commissioner Steiner, is that I don't want them to get the dregs. The reason I've left it to the end was to see how much of a dreg we had after the rest of it.
Do
and
you
that
mean,
is,
excuse me,
Louise, that is $5,000, right? Is that $5,000 is about what we've got going on there at the minute? If
point of
everything
order.
is equal. Commissioner Golden?
you said OPAT, but did you mean jail initiative?
No, we're going to, oh, did I? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I meant to
Okay,
talk
just
about the jail-
clarifying.
high
Thank
jail
you.
initiative.
Before
Right, so-
we do that, let's pin a number on, oh, yes.
Okay, so I would suggest, I would agree with the 4,000 number. Commissioner Steiner, you were at 35-4. Commissioner St. James Lopez, you were at the same place, 35-4. Is that correct?
Mhm.
And Commissioner Golden, you were at 4. So may I suggest that we split it at 37.50?
Sure. I'm comfortable there.
Yes.
So that would leave us, I believe, $5,250 for Ojai Jail Initiative, right? 5,000.
Only if you go down on those ones that I had talked
Right,
about.
I understand.
Okay.
So now we've got basic numbers. So let's start having the real meat of the conversation, shall we now?
We haven't really talked about the Ojai Jail Initiative yet.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it right now.
That's what we're doing
Yeah.
now.
Right
Oh,
now.
okay.
But I just want to give you the numbers so that you can all see where we're at. And this is not decided. This is open for conversation, for movement. Whatever we want to do, we can actually do. So focus on the masters. That new number was $4,000. Performance to grow on was $3,500. Ojai Community Chorus was $2,500. We haven't discussed it yet, but the number that is left was $5,250 for Ojai Jail Initiative, Arts Initiative. For Ojai Performing Arts Theatre, it was $1,000. Oh Yes was $3,750. And for the Ojai Day Mandala was $5,000. So, everybody's got those numbers written down. Let's bang on to the Ojai Jail Arts Initiative with an ask of $15,850, I believe. So, wildly different things going on here. So, let's go to Commissioner Steiner to advocate for your position. Now, understanding that all of these numbers are fungible, we can move them around, do whatever we want to do with it. But yeah, clearly you want to try and award more money there. So
Yes, thank you.
yourself
So
out.
again, pardon me. Again, looking at my need merit matrix, I see that I am the highest number, but I think also in terms of merit, this is an extraordinary project. It's innovative. It uses city resources in a very interesting way. It's got impressive organizers. Elizabeth and Teddy and Matt are impressive. It's performative, it's conceptual, it uses artists, contemporary artists in an interesting way. Let me tell you how I came up with the 10. So looking at their budget, I essentially threw out anything that related to paying for personnel, paying honoraria, that sort of thing, and focused on hard costs, which for the materials at $7,500 for a project of this scope and scale. I think that's likely accurate. And then I recognize that their question mark for insurance is going to be significant. I understand how these projects work in terms of the expense of insurance. And there will be certain marketing expenses that are going to redound to the benefit of Ojai. And so with those numbers, I rounded it to 10,000. Where, by the way, I remain comfortable. And I echo what I said earlier, that it troubles me that we may look at landing on a number that's basically the remainder of the others, especially when we have so meritorious and innovative a project.
Right, understood. Thank you for that. I wouldn't worry too much about just landing with what's left. I'm very, very aware of that situation. But what I wanted to get to is basic numbers so that we can see how we can move them around to do the best job that we can for the applicants that we have. So your concern is noted, and you can note that I've noted your concern, and I'm not disagreeing with you.
So noted.
Commissioner St. James Lopez.
Yeah, I echo a lot of what Christine Steiner just said. I think that on a need and merit basis, that they really need this money, and they have an extraordinary project. It's extremely exciting. I think that they are extremely capable. They have amazing, I know Teddy makes has amazing art shows at the basic premise. That's just really, really something that I think Ojai really needs, is just that kind of like really creative energy. And I'm just really excited to see what they do with the amount that we give them. This was really difficult for me. And, I definitely feel as if they deserve the full, I think everyone here deserves, the full amount. And I wish I could feel comfortable giving $15,850. I would even go higher than the amount that I presented. So I'm very open-minded to $10,000 as well, like Christine Steiner suggested. But I also understand that everyone else needs to have a little bit of our budget. So I have nothing else to say, I think. But I think this is the most exciting project here.
Thanks very much. Commissioner Golden, you're up.
Okay, well, the project does sound very exciting, as much as I understand it, but I have to really say that the fact, and it's a fact, that the application was not filled out correctly, in spite of very clear directions. Many sections of it that were required were never submitted. I understand that yesterday some things came in. I didn't have a chance to look at those. I don't know where their matching funds are coming from. And it leaves me with a feeling that this is an untried group, and they had trouble filling out a grant application. So follow through, understanding, all of that is a little like this for me. And 40%, close to 40% of the total amount of grants to go to a new group like this that is untried makes me a little nervous. Also, in recognition that in order to do that, we would really have to siphon off funds from groups that are proven, that we know need the money. Like you were mentioning, the Oh Yes group and how hard they work, the Mandala and so on and so forth. These things that have been in Ojai and haven't had our support, the Mandala, for so many years. I would rather see a more balanced approach to it. If we gave them the leftovers, although I don't really look at it that way either, it's still more money than any other grant would be getting at $5,250. So I would like to see that. I think the way the chart is right now makes a lot of sense to me.
Thanks very much. So I guess it's my turn now. With regards to their application, I've seen everything. I'm fine with it. And I believe that, honestly, most everything was there right at the start anyway. Whether you got everything or whether you didn't, I couldn't speak to that, but I've seen everything. I'm really comfortable with everything they've done. I think they've actually done an extraordinary job pulling everything together, and it may be the best application we had, in my opinion. However, having said that, I do understand there were issues with it and challenges, so I get it, no problem with that. Where I'm at with this is that it is a huge amount of our grant money that we're looking to give to a single organisation. I'm not necessarily worried that people are untested. Everybody's untested until they've done something. And the only way you can actually do something is to go do it. The question is how much we support them. Now, when we had the last meeting and they gave presentation, I was blown away by their presentation. It was much better than I expected it to be. Very professional. They had answers for everything. I will declare that I've known Teddy Nava for 15 years or more, maybe. And I've seen him grow over those years, and there's still plenty to go. This is an extraordinarily interesting project in its scope, and there really truly has been nothing like it involved in Ojai previously. Having said that, I'm still a little confused by exactly what they want to do and how they're going to go and do it. And in addition to that, they probably do need permission from the Parks and Rec Department in order to actually proceed. Anyway, they do have the support of the Historic Preservation Commission, which I think is huge. But I asked one question at the end of their presentation last week was, is it important for you to receive funds in any amount of the city, from the city, in order that you can then go and secure funds elsewhere, which they've indicated they will be doing regardless of what we give them, because then you can say that you have the support of the City of Ojai's Arts Commission. And the answer was unequivocally yes, that would make a difference. So in coming to this, I also looked at a need. This is the same matrix we're all looking at, need and merit, right? I don't know that we need this anywhere near as much as we need the things that go into the schools. But I do acknowledge that we need to be moving forward and trying new things and pushing boundaries a little bit and giving new people opportunities that they wouldn't otherwise have had. I'm strongly in support of this commission and by extension the city supporting such efforts. And I don't see a problem with awarding a reasonably large sum of money to see how it goes. What I would be against would be giving them too much money in order that they don't have to prove the concept with a view. And what I mean by that was that if this works lovely, then they can come back next year and we would have a basis on which to give them more money or a larger grant, perhaps, depending on what money is available. So I think the merit's off the charts. I just don't think the need matches the merit. So what I want to do is to be able to give them enough money to get rolling forward pretty quick. And to also, for them to also be able to go to other potential environments where they could get grants. That they can say, look, they gave us a heap of money, can you match it? Or at least can you come close? I think the danger is that we don't give them enough for them to have the backing of the city, and we give them too much in that they may not, and I'm not suggesting anything, but they may not feel the urgency that this is the first go around, and what I would like to see is a second and a third go around with other environments in this city too, which are beyond my ability to figure out because I'm not necessarily an artist of that type. So I certainly think, in my own mind, that we should be awarding them more than $5,250. I'm not comfortable at $10,000. $8,000 to me may also be too high. And the number that I would end up sitting on is probably 7, to be quite honest with you. Now, in order to get that, we've got to do some chopping. Now, I'll shut up now, and I'll go back to you folks. So Commissioner Steiner.
Returning to what I said earlier, that where I started was their materials cost, which is 7,500. I would echo what you said at 7 and suggest 7,500. So I'd certainly come down.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner St. James Lopez.
I echo that same sentiment.
Okay. Commissioner Golden.
I can't support that amount of money because it takes away from the others. And again, you know, sometimes your history kills you. And this is a case where I have that history, and the history has always been to do as even a distribution as possible across those that have merit and worthiness. And so many of these groups have done the kinds of things that this group is asking for money for, but they've done it and absorbed the cost of it until they were established. So it's a startup group. I would like to see a lesser amount. I like the 5,250 myself because it leaves the other amounts in place, and I think that's what the city is asking us to do and what is the fairest approach.
Understood. Thank you.
Nigel, if I may, and following on Christine's point about history, which I think is a good point, can we look at whether which of these other grantees have received money in past years? Now we know that the community chorus did. We spoke about that, but could we, Luis, would you have that information at your
You've actually got it
fingertips?
in your packet, Commissioner Steiner.
Good. Okay.
So if you scoot through your packet, you'll see it, and you may have seen me flipping into mine, because when we're looking at large sums of money, last year we also had $25,000 to give out, and we gave out $8,000 to one requestee. Ojai
No, I'm
one
sorry. I'm
outspoken.
sorry. That was not my question.
I
My-
understand that. I understand
Oh,
that. I understand what your question was. I'll get to that in a second. If we're looking at raw numbers about giving people large sums of money, it happened last year to the tune of $8,000. To your point and your question, it was to Ojai one. It was for
That was the amount that they requested. The amount we gave was 6,400. It's the next column
I
over.
apologize. Yeah, you're correct. You're correct. So it was 6,000. They requested 8,400, and they got 6,400. So it is a larger number. It was significantly larger than any other amount that we gave out last year. You'd agree with that, right, Commissioner Golden?
Well, I don't think it was significantly larger the way we're talking about now because we gave the Green Coalition close to $5,000, and there were only 6 grantees. There was one less than this year. So, you know, you're looking at apples and oranges a little bit here.
A little bit, but the majority of the grants were an average of probably $4,000, I would say, and they got 6,400. Now, different situation, we get it, but if we're just looking at numbers, we've been there before and we've done it before, essentially. With regard to who received funds previously from us, then Focus on the Masters has received money from us in the past. If you look through your sheets, you'll find it. It wasn't last year, it was 2019. So they didn't request anything this past year or in 2021. Commissioner Golden?
Well, just as a point of information, in case people aren't aware of this, that after 3 years, a group cannot apply again. They have to wait.
Right, okay.
So that may be why you're seeing that lag there.
Let's have a quick look.
Also, this is another.
They did indeed do it in 2018
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and another
2017.
another piece of this is that the idea of this has always been, which is really in favor of what Christine and Eric and you are saying about the jail initiative, which is that there is an intention for this to get groups going, and then eventually they become independent and they don't come back for funding.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's like kind of like an underlying principle from past years, and that really is supportive of giving a little more to the jail initiative
Yep.
because it is a startup,
Yep.
and that is exciting.
Yeah, thank you for that. And thank you for the information about the 3 years. I was unaware of that. So So they did in fact apply for the 3 years previously, which is why they didn't apply last year as well. So the amount, if you're looking through your sheet, the average amount that we have given to them previously is in the $2,500 range, I believe. Focus on the masters. No, yeah, 2,500, 3,000 in 2018. Focus on the masters, and yeah, so so 4,500 back in 2017, 3,000 in 2018, 2,500 in 2019, and our initial proposal today was for 4,000. So there's definitely a bit of wiggle room there, Commissioner Golden.
Well, why don't we just knock that down to 2,500? That'll give us some more money for the jail initiative right off. Maybe we can find another 500 somewhere else.
All right, so that was actually the number in my mind, was to take focus on the master. Now, before we do that, I would like to say that they are intending to go into the schools also.
I know.
To promote their work, which I wholly support. So that's just information for you to ponder on. But Commissioner Golden, I would agree with you that I have no objection to taking that down to 2,500, despite the fact that my original amount in there was 4,000. Commissioner Steiner, yours was at 5,400, so I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
I'd be comfortable reducing it largely because the city has supported them regularly. And also, a point I didn't make earlier is that they likewise have potential for ticket sales. So I'm comfortable at the 2,500.
So what we're looking at doing is reducing that by $1,500 down to $2,500. And I presume, Commissioner Golden, that your thought is that we just transfer that 1,500
I would take that, I would take that 1,500 and add that to the 5,250. And then the other thing I would do is I would look at the community chorus, and I would take them from 2,500 to 2,000, and then add that 500. That gives the initiative 7,250.
Does
do that.
anybody else have any objections to reducing the Ojai Community Chorus amount to $2,000 from $2,500 and adding that to the Ojai Jail Initiative to make that $7,250? Commissioner Steiner?
Has the community chorus received money from us in the past?
They received money last year in the amount of $2,422.80, which they have not used at this moment in time, and I don't believe they will. However, never say never.
Right. I am comfortable bumping them down a bit.
Commissioner St. James Lopez?
Me too.
All right, so I actually agree with that myself. So let's put that at $2,000. That would make $7,250 for the Ojai Jail Arts Initiative. Now, let's have a look at the other things. Commissioner Golden, did you have anything to say, or are you okay right now?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I think that's great.
All right, so now let's just have a look at the other things where we've not given full amounts or less than some of us possibly wanted to. So we're back to Ojai Performing Arts Theatre. They have $1,000 there. Oh Yes is $1,250 short of their requested amount. So the question in my mind, and I'm pretty comfortable with $7,250 for the basic premise at this moment, the Ojai Jail Arts Initiative. And I'll get your views on that in just a moment, because there's one other part of this jigsaw that we can look at, which is the money that we've initially awarded to Ojai Performing Arts Theatre of $1,000. The option there, as I see things in front of me, because it doesn't look like we're moving anything else, is to award them less and move that money to either Oh Yes or the Ojai Jail Arts Initiative, leave it where it is at $1,000, and call everything good. So, Commissioner St. James Lopez?
Yes?
To everything?
Yes, I did. Sorry, I guess I'm wondering what the question is.
Well, the question is right now, Focus on the Masters has $2,500. Performance to Grow On has $3,500. Yeah. Ojai Community Chorus is $2,000. Ojai Jail Arts Initiative is $7,250. Ojai Performing Arts Theatre is $1,000. Oh Yes is $3,750. And Ojai de Mandala is $5,000.
Yeah, I think that sounds good to me. I wish I had more certainty about this. This is hard.
It's
Yeah.
hard.
I'm gonna say yes for now.
Okay, Commissioner Steiner?
Yes, I'm comfortable there. As to your suggestion to move the $1,000 from OPAT, I would as soon keep it there and keep those numbers exactly as you read those.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioner Golden?
I think this is a really good spread of money. I totally agree with the
Okay.
numbers that you just read.
All right, so my view is this, just to upset the apple cart a little bit.
Oh, don't.
And again, I'm in a minority here, so I've only got one vote, the same as everybody else. I would like, with your agreement, to actually move $250 from the basic premise, the Ojai Arts Jail Initiative, and move it to Oh Yes. That would leave $7,000 for the Ojai Jail Arts Initiative and $4,000 for Oh Yes. Now, I don't think $250 is going to make much of a difference to anybody, but I would like very much to encourage more children to get into theatre, and for those folks to have that option. Now, I'm definitely open. I'm glad that we found more money for Ojai Jail Arts Initiative. If everybody feels that they're comfortable with where we're at, that's where we're at, and we'll vote on that. But if anybody would like to join me and toss in another $250 to Oh Yes, so they can have a nice round $4,000, and the Ojai Basic Premise, Ojai Jail Arts Initiative has a nice round $7,000. Speak now. Commissioner Golden.
Well, I like that too. I mean, I really think that $4,000 for Oh Yes, that does just so much for this community, and then $7,000 for the first year of the Ojai Jail Initiative makes a lot of sense. I can go either way, but I like your suggestion.
And just for the record, I can go either way too. Commissioner Steiner?
Has Oh Yes received money from us in the past?
Let's have a look. I believe they probably have. Not last year. Not the year before. Not the year before that.
The first time I'm seeing it is in 2017.
In fact, the answer to your question, as far back as this paperwork I've got in front of me, which is 2016. Oh, right, they did.
Yeah,
So back in 2017, they did receive some money. They had requested $5,500 and they got fully funded. That was 2017, so not for the last 4 years. So this would be the fifth year since then.
Okay. I would like to leave things right where they are, and for the reasons I explained earlier, which is that at 4250, the jail project does not even cover materials. So I'm comfortable with things where they are.
Okay, thanks very much. Commissioner St. James Lopez?
I'm comfortable with things where they are.
Okay, so, that's fine. It's I threw it in there, and nobody has a massive amount of passion to change things. And I think us all being in agreement is a pretty good place to go. So, Commissioner Golden, are you okay with leaving things as they are currently?
Absolutely.
All right, so let's just have a look at this. Focus on the Masters is $2,500. Performance to Grow On is $3,500. No, it isn't. Yes, it is.
Yes.
Ojai Community Chorus is $2,000. Ojai Jail Arts Initiative is $7,250. Ojai Performing Arts Theatre is $1,000. Oh Yes is $3,750. And the Ojai de Mandala is $5,000. Luis, if you can confirm that all adds up to 25 grand.
It does.
Oh, I know it does, but you're the official. Right. So that does
And
come down
so-
to $25,000. So I would like to move in that case that we accept those figures as stipulated to.
I'll
If
second
anybody would like
that.
to second me,
I'm
then
happy to second that.
Commissioner Golden second. May we take a vote, Luis?
You have to ask for discussion first.
Oh, sorry. Any discussion?
I think it's simply terrific. The result is that the Mandala project gets its full ask and no others do, but it's a beautiful distribution that takes into account merit as well as need.
Thanks very much, Commissioner
Hear,
St. James
hear.
Lopez.
Yes, I love this arrangement.
All right, Commissioner Golden. you
No,
happy?
here. I totally agree with what Commissioner Steiner said.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it, Commissioner Steiner. Thanks very much. Right, may we take a vote, Luis?
Yes, Commissioner Golden,
Yes.
Vice Chair Chisholm,
Yes.
Commissioner Steiner,
Yes.
Commissioner St. James Lopez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, so just to clarify what we've just voted on, and I'll say it once again, so everybody who's listening and watching on TV, is very clear. Focus on the Masters will receive $2,500 in grant money. Performance to Grow On will receive $3,500 in grant money. Ojai Community Chorus will receive $2,000 in grant money. Ojai Jail Arts Initiative will receive $7,250 in grant money. Ojai Performing Arts Theatre will receive $1,000 in grant money. Oh Yes will receive $3,750 in grant money. And Ojai Day Mandala will receive $5,000 in grant money. So well done, everybody. That was a fabulous discussion.
And if I may, just for point of clarity, this recommendation would go to council for ratification.
Yep, thanks very much. And they will rejig it as they see fit, but they better not.
And if I may say, I think we did a great job with this. I think all organizations were meritorious, and it's unfortunate we could not award the entirety, but I do think it's congratulations to the organizations, and I look forward to knowing what they will be doing with this money.
Yep, second, I'll hear that. Right, so that being done, that's the meat of this session, and there's not much left to do, I don't think. So that's the grant. If you look at your agenda, that was subject A. Subject B would be the Arts Commission 5-year goals. Commissioner West was due to report. He's not here, so we're not having that. So we're going to skip ahead to C. The Awards Committee, that would be me. There is no update from the Awards Committee because there are no awards to give out right now. D, there is something to say about this on the website update. So Mr. Commissioner St. James Lopez, if you could please provide us with an update.
Yes, so I've been emailing Christine Golden the last few days. The several pages on the website, in my mind, are complete. The tours continue to be a struggle, but I will get them done. And what else is there to say? As we agreed on the last meeting, it looks like we're just not going to go through with the registry. So I reached out to Wendy from the Ojai Valley Museum and let her know. And they are going to pursue creating their own registry, which is great for the community. And I suggested that we could perhaps have a link going towards their registry once it's up and running on our website, in case any artist comes across our website and might be interested in joining their registry. So that's great. There's a new commissioners page, so your bios are now up with photographs, and it looks great. I hope to have the website finished as agreed in the last meeting by around Christmas, and I think that's all I have to say.
All right.
That's a lot, though. Good job.
Yep.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I mean, it's
I
a
had
struggle.
two things on my list. I had two things on my list to ask you about, Commissioner St. James Lopez. You've already hit one of them. You've communicated with Wendy with regard to that, and I believe that what we were going to do is just link directly to their registry as soon as it's done. So if you can make sure that instead of that being a question, that's what we're going to do. That would be, as soon as theirs is done, we'll just link right to it. Is that reasonable?
Yeah. Also, I wanted to say that there is won't say new page because it's been there, but there's an events page on our website, which I created an event for this Arts Commission meeting, basically stating that this meeting's today. This is what we're talking about generally, which was the grants proposals. And so, now I hope to have kind of the commissioner meetings as events on there. And for possibly large events that are community oriented, I could post those that are city related. So that's going to continue to be updated. I've been continuously updating the grants portion of the website with like little updates as well, that are dated. Yeah, sorry, that's my only edit or thing I wanted to add.
Fabulous. Thanks very much. The second thing on my list was that Chair Tosha had asked, and I don't know if this is website related or if it's PR related, but she'd asked if you had checked to see if the mural on the Ojai imports, or as it used to be Ojai imports, has been completed. Yeah,
I'm so sorry. I guess that.
may I?
Yeah, hang on a minute. Sorry, Commissioner St. James Lopez, can you finish what you were saying? I didn't catch it.
Oh, sorry. I guess that I'm so sorry. That fell through for me.
Okay, no problem. We'll
yeah.
take care of it. Commissioner Golden?
Yes, I mean, that mural has to be approved first by the Public Art Committee. Actually, not really the whole committee, but Luis and I, once he hears, Luis, from
Them.
J.R. Luna.
Them.
It just went. It just like from J.R. Luna, which we understand that it's close to completion, if not already there. I've had email communication with Luis, so he's on top of it. We have to get contracts between the artists and the building owner, which we assume he has, but we're not sure. But if he does, we need a copy of this. So all those little loose ends have to be done, at which point, when that's finished, then I will communicate with Eric, hi there, Eric, on what to post on that.
Well done. So thank you
I will be writing the post and giving it to him, but we're not there yet.
Well done. So Commissioner St. James Lopez, you are officially off the hook. And Luis, you are officially on the hook for that. So we'll alleviate you of that responsibility until we go further, in which case you'll then jump back into the process to move the release, the press release or article
I'll be happy
forward.
to CC you on all of that.
That'd be fantastic. Thanks very much. And also Chair Tosha, or through Luis, obviously, so that we don't break any Brown Act regulations.
Absolutely, through Luis.
Thank you.
Nigel, I have a question
Yes, ma'am?
related to that. Why would, now the mural is a private mural on private property. Why would we put that on our website?
Right, so it's a good question, and I believe that what's going to happen is that there's going to be a notification on any videos that we do that what is public and what is not public, but it is still art for the public in Ojai. But I'll pass that one over to Commissioner Golden to answer in a more full fashion, I think.
Well, now that we have a mural ordinance, this was passed through the work of a public art jury slash committee slash
Mural jury.
for approval. And so the city has interest in it. And so when an article is written about it to go up, it will just be, what's new on the art scene in Ojai. And we'll give credit to Ojai Imports and to Ojai Studio Artists fully.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the idea is to...
So it's information, it's publicity and information about art in Ojai that is worth to go and see. We'll also eventually include it on the East City Tour, as we have included other artworks on the tours that are not necessarily commissioned by the city or a result of 2% for the arts with private developers, but we included them on the tour.
Right, understand. Commissioner Steiner? Does that make sense to you?
I'm not sure. Perhaps it makes sense. But I always like to look to counterparts. So, for example, with the mural ordinance, our role really is more akin to a planning department role than it is to a traditional public art role. And there, where we own works or where they're simply where we own works, it makes sense that those should be on our site. Whether we would take quote unquote that same position with respect to private works on private property, where our only role is a simple regulatory one, is something I think is a very interesting question, and it's one we should probably discuss more fully at some point in this commission.
Yeah, thanks for that. I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you on what you've said. My only comment on that would be is that I think part of our job on this commission is to promote art in Ojai. And if it happens to be private art, then I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be on our website as part of a tour, especially if it's on the way to something else that does belong to the city. I don't think it benefits anybody not to promote those types of things. But I do take your point, and I think it is worth a discussion, perhaps in the Public Art Committee at some point down the road.
That would be great.
Unless it's a pressing concern for yourself, we'll just lodge your words and visit it maybe early next year, if that's okay with you.
That's great.
All right, fantastic. Thank you. Right, so the website's done, Commissioner St. James Lopez, so you can take a deep breath and relax there. Next one is E, City Collection. Commissioner Steiner, anything to update? Or?
No update. I do have a question of Luis. If you could inform us whether and when the city manager has signed the termination for those earlier terminated loans with the museum, that would be good, just to sort of cross those T's and dot those I's.
Great question. That actually has not happened quite yet. I actually plan to go ahead and bring it before the city manager. We've had a couple of different large events that has taken my time away from that, but that is on my to-do list that I plan to go ahead and do before the end of the year here.
That's great. It will make my binder a lot lighter to be able to simply put those in the shred box.
Yep.
We all need light binders. Commissioner St. James Lopez, any questions for Commissioner Steiner on that?
No.
Commissioner Golden, any observations, comments, statements? No. The only thing that I would say about the city collection is that is also something that I want to revisit in some detail in the early part of next year. So perhaps it's a conversation we can have alongside the public art one at some point, if that makes sense to everybody.
If I can just tag on to that, I agree with you entirely. In fact, one issue I would like us to explore is deaccession procedures and how we would go about winnowing down and determining what really our collection should be.
Yep, right on. I couldn't agree with you more than that, so thanks for that. So we'll just lodge those and we'll try and deal with those maybe sometime in March or April when things have calmed down to a dull roar, generally speaking.
Great.
Right, so we're on to F if you're done there, Commissioner Steiner? Yeah? All right, so we move on to F, which is Arts Education. Commissioner West is unable to be with us, sadly, so we're skipping over to G, Public Art Committee. Commissioner Golden.
No report.
I'm just going to let that sink in just for a moment. Fantastic, thank you very much. So, the December meeting, typically the Arts Commission does not have a meeting in December. I would like to suggest that we continue that tradition. Does anybody have a problem with that?
Make the motion.
I would
I'll
like to
second
make
it.
a motion that we do not have a meeting in December. Anybody second?
I'll second it.
Any comments? Commissioner Steiner?
No comments.
Commissioner St. James Lopez?
No comments.
Commissioner Golden? Nope, I've got nothing to
sorry,
add there.
just a
May we
question.
take a vote, please, Luis?
Absolutely. Commissioner St. James Lopez.
I'm so sorry. I guess I feel a little bit lost. What are we voting on right now?
Not a meeting, that we're not going to have a
No
meeting
meeting.
in December.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah, I'm good with that.
Commissioner Steiner.
Yes.
Vice Chair Chisholm.
Yes.
Commissioner Golden.
Yes.
Motion passes.
It's pass. All right. Nothing extraordinary there. It's typical not to have that. I would note that I did get an email earlier on today from somebody at the city about a commissioner appreciation dinner
Andrea.
on December 12th, was it? 14th?
Second.
December 2nd.
December 2nd.
And so you may all have got the same email. I have indicated to her that date is not good for me. I'm out of the country, and in fact, I'm probably unavailable for most of December. I would encourage you all to whatever that date happens to be, to go and meet all the other commissioners that sit in similar chairs to yourself, and
May I
I'm sure
say
share similar frustrations as us. Commissioner Golden, you are recognized.
Yes, thank you. Because I just want to say for the Commissioner Steiner and Commissioner St. James that in the past, up until the time of COVID, the city has always put on a really wonderful thank you dinner for the all of the commissions. All of the city council members attend. All members of the commission attend and are introduced. It's a very lovely event, and it's so, for me, wonderful that they're bringing it back, that our city manager has thought to reinstate this, even though it will be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and it will be outdoors. It's still, I'm just so appreciative, and I hope you'll pass that along, Luis, that they are reinstituting this, because it always really meant a lot to be recognized for the service that we give to the city.
That's right. That is nice. All of us do this out of the goodness of our hearts. None of us get paid a damn cent. So it is nice for the city to recognise the amount of effort that everybody puts in, and we all do. Other commissions.
And I believe you can bring a
sometimes
guest as well. Is that right, Luis? You can bring a guest.
All right. Well, you'll get your emails anyway, but if you can attend, I'd encourage you to. If I'm in town, as I expressed, I will be attending, but I also encourage you to pick a date which is best for everybody, as my schedule is so tight. Right, so that's that. Future agenda items, Mr. St. James Lopez. Anything you want to see on the agenda next time?
No.
No? Commissioner Steiner?
The only item I want to see on the agenda is the election of a new chair.
Okay, so that, if we can make that on the agenda next time, please, Luis. Commissioner Golden.
I'll send you, there'll be several public art matters that'll come up. We promised to bring back the climate park vote in January, so that will be on the agenda.
Yep.
Along with some other public art matters to.
Fantastic, because I recall in the last meeting you said that in January we'd have an update on that, and so that's what's going to happen.
Yes, that was
Fantastic.
agreed on. The climate committee representatives will come and give an update on whether or not that park is going forward, and then we can decide what we want to do.
Fantastic. I don't have any future agenda items that we need to put on there that are of particularly pressing concern at this moment. So the election of the chair typically takes place in the January meeting. So it would be nice if everybody was there. So have a ponder on what you want to do there. Keep your thoughts to yourselves. And when we get there, Commissioner Steiner.
Yes, will we have an update? We're missing a commissioner with the resignation of Robin Gerber.
Perhaps
so I would like an update on where things stand and when we can expect that we'll be a full house.
Yep, I think that's an appropriate thing to stick on the agenda there. So if we can have the chair address that, which would in fact be Chair Tosha at the start of the meeting, should be the one that would know the answer to that. Yeah. So I think that's, appropriate, very appropriate. And in fact, I'm glad you brought that up, because honestly, I meant to say it and I forgot. So thank you for that. All right. If there's nothing else, we'll go to the staff liaison report, please. Mr.
Sure.
Gomez.
Absolutely. So we'll begin with project subject to public art. Here, I wanted to go ahead and know, as you see there on your report, there was a submission for the theater facade restoration that is currently pending historic preservation and planning commission review. In addition to that, there's an application submitted for 423 East Ojai Avenue. That was the old Jersey Mike's. They are doing some outdoor renovate or remodel, as well as adding a pizza oven in the interior. The valuation for that is $50,000, so that does not qualify for public art. And that concludes for project subject to public art. In reference to the public art fund, there has been a change. That change is in regards to the Olive Mill project. As you will know, the funds have moved from credit pending to actual credits. So the $26,166 that has been paid there. So again, that has moved from credit pending to actual credits there. Other than that, that's pretty much it.
Fantastic. Any comments, observations, statements?
Another question.
On that, Commissioner Golden?
Did you, we find out, because I can't remember, about the inn doing a project? Have you had anything on that?
We haven't received any word from
All right,
them
so
doing
I
it.
could just find out on my own.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I'm happy to go ahead and follow up with community development to see if they've
Okay.
received anything. As of right now, from my understanding, there's
Right.
nothing has been submitted.
Commissioner Steiner?
I have nothing, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner St. James Lopez? Just on what we just heard with regard to the
No,
report?
I don't have anything on what we said.
Okay. All right, so we banged through that.
There's one more.
Sorry, Commissioner Golden?
Yeah, I also want to point out, just so people know, because I think it's so nice, that we also received some funds for the Docent-Led Tours that we did with
$150,
the
Yep.
Ojai Festival Women's Committee, and so that bill has been paid.
That's right.
And I am going to be conducting docent training sessions. And I remember you saying, Vice Chair Chisholm, that you felt everyone on the commission should be trained as a docent. Did I hear you correctly?
I don't know if you did, but I like the idea. So I'll claim it, even if I didn't say it. I think it's just a no-brainer. Quite honestly, I think we should all be able to do it. Whether we do it or whether we don't is a different matter altogether. But we should all know what's going on there.
Yeah, and in that spirit, if there are people who you think would be fabulous to be trained as docents, please send me their names so that I can contact them. And
Actually, can we put that on the agenda for January, please?
thank you, Nigel.
Yeah, let's have a conversation about that, because we're moving into post-COVID times, I'm sure, after the winter. Not that we have much of a winter in Ojai, but so we should be looking forward to actually actively recruiting people to do that type of thing. We need to have a discussion about how we remunerate people for doing that and the boundaries of what
Right,
they should be
and
doing.
part of that plays into, which I will be happy to report on at the time, the ad hoc committee that worked originally on the tours. There was a group of ladies that are tour masters because they're the ones that give the tours for the museum. So they really were very helpful in helping us make the tours size that was doable.
Yeah.
And, we used a lot of their expertise, and they are interested, a couple of them.
Right, well, I've got a heap of questions and observations about that, but we'll leave that for January. Or maybe it might even run over into February. All righty, we've come to Commissioner comments. So let's go with Commissioner St. James Lopez, because you are the highest on that picture on the television over there.
Well, thank you. I've been thinking about how to say what I want to say, and I guess first I want to say I really loved how this meeting went. It went very smoothly. I think we all agreed on the amounts that we decided on with the grants, and I'm very happy about that. So I think that should be noted, and I'm very pleased with how tonight went. I want to say that, and I won't name this person right now, or I don't think I would, but a commissioner called me recently, and it was a very uncomfortable conversation. And I basically want to say that, and this commissioner called me something like 4 or 5 times, like in a row, even though I very clearly stated I was not able to speak because I was at a dinner. And then they continued to call me again anyways. And then this commissioner also said that I was a disappointment, and that I was, I forgot what else they said. And there's something else that was in particular really interesting about this conversation.
Eric, I'm having a hard time. Can you lean in a little more so I can
Sure.
hear you?
I want to say that I will not engage with, I guess, emotionally charged personal conversations with commissioners outside of meetings like this. I've really enjoyed meeting with all the commissioners and hearing their points of view. But after this phone call I had not too long ago with a commissioner, where my eyes disrespected my time and my energy after repeatedly calling me and me telling them I cannot right now because I'm at a dinner, and they called again anyways. And then they said I was a disappointment and made a whole bunch of other claims I was not happy with. Please don't call me like that again. I really respect all you commissioners, and I value all of your times, and we all are emotional beings, and we all deserve to be heard. I'm just not that person to speak to in the way that you spoke to me. I also really care about you, and I really love your points of view, and I love everything that you have to say. And also you made some valid points. but please don't do that again. That wasn't great. And please, I really want to stick mostly to what's on the agenda, what needs to get done. If you need to speak to someone about how you felt, I'm just not the person. And it felt inappropriate. That's all I'll say on that. I know, I know that was like an odd thing to like bring up at the end of a meeting. But I guess this is sort of just like a saying, please. I think I've already stated by email that I don't want to speak about other commissioners basically on a like gossip type level anymore, because it's led down like a really uncomfortable path for me. And I understand those conversations could be valuable, but just not with me. So anyways, I'll say this again. Please don't interact with me in that way.
All right.
And,
I think we get your point, Commissioner St. James Lopez. I do. It's a difficult situation to be in. I do appreciate you bringing it up in public. I'm very, very grateful that you didn't name any commissioners, and it's just a general observation that you're making. And I think we would probably all support that the basis of what you're saying, and that we should be all trying to be professional about moving forward and working together in a collegial fashion. And I appreciate you've enjoyed tonight's meeting, and thank you very much for being a positive part of it. Commissioner Steiner.
I'm following that interesting comment. I guess I would say that there certainly has been a great deal of acrimony on this commission. I noted that last time. Certainly Robin Gerber in her resignation noted it. And so let's hope that a new page has turned. Let's hope that we will have a new chair of this commission. And let's hope that we can go about doing the public's business, which is really what we're here to do. And with that, I just wish you all the happiest of holidays, the many holidays coming up. And I look forward to seeing you again in January.
Thanks very much. And I can presume that you've enjoyed this meeting too. Commissioner Golden.
I don't have any announcements or comments.
No announcements or comments. Right, so it's up to me. I'm just going to address very briefly what I said at the end of the last meeting. What I said was sincere, and I meant it. I'm encouraged by this meeting, and I appreciate you all very much following the rules, being collegial, working together for the people of Ojai, for the applicants in particular tonight. I do think we did a fabulous job, and it is a difficult situation for us to be in, but nonetheless, that is our job. And we're tasked with that and many other things. So I would end by thanking Luis also for another fabulous job and a tough month. But now you've got 8 weeks off before the next one. And I would hope that over the intervening period of time, we would ponder significantly on why we are doing what we are doing and why we are taking our time to do it, and how we can sometimes put our ego in our back pocket and get on with the work that we're supposed to do in the most efficient, friendly, decent and honest manner possible prior to the next meeting, and continue in the vein that we've all displayed tonight. Thank you very much for making my job tonight easy and pleasurable, as a matter of fact.
Thank you, Nigel.
You're welcome. And with that, we shall go to the City Council Liaison Report, which is...
No report.
Nothing. So in that case, I will move to adjourn.
I so move.
We are done.
We're done.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.